Now, one of you, the dear viewers, and by the way, thank you very much for watching my videos all the time, actually send me a text and ask me, hey Joseph, would you mind if you make a video on what is the best thing to do? Should I build my home in upcountry or should I build my home in major towns or the cities or however you're going to call them? So which one is the best for my money? Because I just want to own a home, but hey, come on, make a video on this and perhaps maybe you can help one or two. And if you're watching this and you're one kind of individual, you're asking yourself, what's the best option out there? Come on, this is the video, all right? And by the way, guess what? I dare promise you, by the time you finish watching this video to the end, I'm gonna leave you in a situation whereby you have a clear picture on what you're supposed to do, be it either building on cities or towns or upcountry. Now, the question is this now. What are you gonna promise me that you're gonna do for me? Come on. I just want one thing. Just hit that subscription button and also make sure that you like this video. It does not cost you anything, just a single second. And I bet you get the single second. Thank you very much. Let's get in the business now. Here we are. You have some cash with you. Okay, fine. You've gone all through the processes that we talk about, investing, doing what, making sure that you have the good cash flow and what have you. Now you have the cash you want to actualize, you owning a home. So going the upcountry way or building in the towns, which one is the best thing to do? Fine. See, and I'm gonna try the best that I can be objective on this video rather than being subjective. All right, let's get to the business now. This is what we go. Before building any given home, especially in terms of the location, there are some of the factors that you have to consider. Let me just go ahead and outline the factors to consider, because you may love to build a home in towns, but the financial factor actually limits you from doing that. But if you were to go a little bit far from the town, probably you can call it upcountry or whatever the place it is, you can actually get your home. Or let's say you have like, say, 5 million, you want to build a home, okay? 5 million in Kenya, in terms of dollars, that's like 50,000 Kenyan, 50,000 USD. And by the way, if you're watching this from the West, that's a huge amount of money, by the way. See, you have the 5 billion, but the structure that you can build in a city or a town with 5 million is way different from that what you can actualize in an upcountry. Again, you bank on the basis of this. Do you want to build this home on the basis of as an investment as much as it's a home? Or do you want to get for example, say you can build a certain structure in an upcountry, but not really close, not that interior in the upcountry. And that place is actually developing. Therefore, you can build a home maybe worth like 5 million in a period of time. It appreciates maybe the lands or something. So come here. See, now, these are some of the factors that you have to consider. Factor number one, this is the main factor that you consider, is something called the finance. You have to consider the finance. What is your financial muscle? For example, I'm going to use Kenya as an example. And you can use this to replicate example from the country that you're watching me from. For example, let's say you have that $50,000, okay? $50,000 for my dear fellow Kenyans. This means 5 million, okay? 5 million. So let's say this is what you have. This is the 50,000 USD. You want to build yourself a home. Now, see, maybe for example, building this home in a big city, I'm going to use Nairobi as an example. Maybe building a three bedroom bungalow will cost you, say, let's say 6 million. All right, let's say it will cost you 6 million. All right, because the labor there is a bit expensive and all those kind of things, the building material, the construction material, especially, not the metals and what have you. There are other materials that you might find are a bit expensive. Okay, now the point is this: now, if you were to go ahead and build the same 3-bedroom bungalow in upcountry, maybe it will cost you a little bit less than that amount of money. You get what I'm saying? So you can use the similar 6 million to actualize a 3 bungalow in a Nairobi, and you can use the similar amount of money maybe to get a 4-bedroom bungalow, or maybe you can get 3-bedroom, which is ensuite, meaning every bedroom has its own toilet. And you understand, I'm not in the field of construction, but you can guess what I'm talking about. So what happens, the very factor that you have to consider is finance. I'm going to talk much about that. The next factor that you have to consider when it comes to whether you want to build in upcountry or want to do so in cities is something called the social factor. There is something called the socio-economic factor. Let's just call it the social factor. The social factor is this. Let's say you're employed. The entire family is in, say, Nairobi. I'm going to use Nairobi as an example, okay? Now, the point is this. Now, say your family is working in that place. Now you're asking yourself, okay, fine. Maybe say you're a principal somewhere, you're a teacher somewhere, you're an engineer somewhere, or you're a guy who works all over the country or something. And then you consider the aspect of your family. And then you ask yourself, okay, fine. Where does my children school? What is actually comfortable with them? Or where can I actually get the good amenities like the hospitals, the schools, quality schools? Or maybe I just want my kids to actually interact with kids who of different level. Because see, in Africa we have this mentality, people who come from the up country, you find like they are somehow slow with life and something of sort. So perhaps you wouldn't love your kids to interact with those kind of guys, in terms of some of the behaviors and character. And you can understand in Africa, and you're watching this from Africa, you find most of the people usually strive the much they can to make sure that they live in towns instead of those upcountry countries there, because they say, hey, there is no money or something of sort. Okay, but we're gonna debunk that theory. By the way, you might find that in upcountry there is more money if you actually gonna utilize the opportunities better. So the social factor can actually play a vital role. And again, on a social factor can also becomes introduce us to the next factor that is called personal preference. Personal preference. Personal preference, it means who are you and what do you love mostly. There's some people who don't want the hustles and the bustles of the cities. They just want to relax somewhere in the countryside. But they have ever seen whites when they show up in our countries, and maybe perhaps they happen to buy some properties. They never buy from those posh areas. And if they have to buy from those posh areas or leafy suburbs, it has to be literally leafy suburbs, whereby it is in a city but looks like it's like when you go to Beverly Hills in California. I don't know where it is, by the way. For those who have ever been there, they know where the Beverly Hills is in. I usually watch it on TVs anyway. The point is, let me go ahead and use my beautiful city called Nairobi. So if you go to places like Runda, you find, yes, it is within the city, but that place actually look like a forestry or something of sort. They kind of love that kind of a thing, whereby you just have the breeze, you're breathing the fresh air and what have you. So you find like the personal preference. For example, if you ask me, I prefer, living in sort of a countryside kind of a thing. But hey, when I talk of a countryside, it doesn't have to be like that interior. It has to be, the city services is actually accessible. I don't know whether you're getting what I'm saying. Like some few hours, maybe say an hour or something, I'm just into the town and into the city, or not even an hour, some few minutes driving, I'm into the town, I'm doing my things and all those kind of things. So I prefer that kind of a lifestyle rather than just living in a place whereby my neighbor is here, my in Kenya we call it master bedroom is here, and his or her master bedroom is the other side. Like I can't open my window and have the breeze when you get what I'm saying? So the point is this: you should actually understand what is your personal preference when actually you're having who is you and what do you want and all those kind of things, okay? So now the point is this: so when you consider the three factors, so your finance, your capacity, and the muscle. Another thing, what you consider also, it's security. This may not apply to all of you who are watching, but in Kenya, it is a factor that you have to consider. Something called security. Security here does not necessarily mean you being attacked. In Kenya, there is another different attack, and they know what it means by kuoshwa. Kuoshwa simply means it's a colloquial language here, where we mean like when you go buying a property and then you buy an air or you buy air, you literally buy nothing. Someone just tell you, this is my plot of land, I'm selling, buy it. The next minute you realize it was not even his or hers. You bought nothing and you try to find the person, the guy went missing, and that's what we mean by security. See, in most of the times, for example, if you've been watching news, you can see, hey, in Kenya, some of these places just next to cities, you buy yourself a piece of property, you build yourself a home. The next minute, you realize, hey, guess what? That was a social amenity. Maybe that was all. That piece of land or parcel of land was actually owned by a certain company or something of sort. The court has ordered all of you to go ahead and demolish the thing, and you get what I'm saying? So people also consider the security factor, and people say, hey, because I realize there is a new generation that is coming up, and they're saying, hey, and instead of risking my all-time saved money and going and purchasing a piece of property somewhere, hey, how about I just disregard that and go ahead and, build myself in an up country somewhere where, hey, I know I'm buying a property or I'm buying a piece of land from someone whom I know, so I'm a bit secured and such. So if you are also considering the point of security here, it plays a lot, because when you go to a lot. When you go to cities, you find like people are sharp, people, are kind of, here and there. There are people who are smart in one way or the other. And this smartness does not necessarily good for us. It means good for them when they, kind of do the things behind the curtain and, get what I'm saying? I bet you guys understand what I'm talking about. So in the cities, there are chances of you buying something that is not so much legit, unless maybe you're dealing with a company that is quite of legit, a company that is stable. And if you can do your research and do nitty-gritties here and there, you can actually identify the companies that are legit, that they can sell your property. Or if you don't want to go the company way, you can go by yourself, buy that property and do the building. So anyway, the point is this: if you can consider the four factors now, if you realize, hey, guess what? Finance on this aspect, it means now I have 3 million. Can 3 million actualize me owning a 3-bedroom bungalow in Nairobi or in a big city? No. But if I can get a little bit outside the city, perhaps I can actually actualize me owning that home using that amount of money. All right. That way, you can actually go ahead ahead and say, hey, guess what? As much as I may love to live in cities, but the money does not allow me to build in cities. Therefore, I'm going to go ahead and build in an upcountry, okay? The other thing, by the way, you can actually put it as a fifth point, but again, it depends on who you ask. There is something called the economic factor. The economic factor. The economic factor, you may find somebody is actually banking on the basis of, hey, guess what? I can just, yes, I'm using it as my home, but I don't mind if maybe it can appreciate, because obviously if you calculate the rate of appreciation of lands, maybe say in cities, you find like maybe in cities like they are close to the saturation point compared to some adjacent towns of that given city. You find that maybe the rate of appreciation is quite of importance. Therefore, someone can actually build his or her home and bank on the basis of, hey, if there is that increment, maybe I can liquidate the property, get a good money, maybe get a little bit inside the city or the town. Or maybe someone has an aim of going and doing farming or something of so on. You don't want to do the farming when you're far from from your farm or something. So you can go ahead and actualize you owning a home in such a place so that you can do the business and that kind of a thing. So I was actually on the point of the finance. Finance actually can guide you on what you need and how you can go ahead and acquire that without overstretching yourself, overstraining yourself. Number two, social factor, where your family and I think of like what are you looking in terms of the amenities, in terms of the school accessibility, security here now, a different security here. It means like, hey, how safe am I when I'm going home? Those kind of things. And yeah, social factors is quite of importance if you can put it across when you're determining whether to build in upcountry or you want to do so from the big towns or the cities, if you may call them. Personal preference, again, what is your personal preference? What do you love? What do you love? Where do you love to live? And that kind of a thing. If you're been working in towns for quite a long time, then you feel like, hey, I just want to get off these, hustles and bustles of town and get myself in a place where it has the cool breeze, relaxing and such kind of a things. Then you can go with you building in an upcountry, okay? And by the way, those upcountry places, you can get a very big, very good deal. Maybe with $1 million bob, perhaps maybe you cannot even afford to buy a 50 by 100 parcel of land in a city, but with the same amount of money, you got yourself a whole acre of a land. You get what I'm saying. And again, if you go to the security aspect on this, I was talking about the acquisition process of that given property. Hey, have you actually acquired the property from a legit people and reliable people? And the last one but not the least, I was talking about the economical factors. Anyway, the point is this. I know you guys were waiting for me to tell you which one is the best. Well, maybe perhaps I say according to me. According to me, I love up countries. And when I say up country, I don't mean like interior. I mean like literally some sort of an adjustment to the cities and something goes on. And if you have a lot of money, then you can go buy yourself from those leafy suburbs. But I believe in creation rather than getting the created one. That's what you get. Anyway, but preference changes with time. Right now, I may reason this way. Next time, you may find yourself, you need to be in that particular place. But we change. Only a fool doesn't change his mind. So the point is this. Be guided by all those factors and therefore you'll be able to make appropriate decision when you're actualizing your home, whether it's an upcountry or whether it is in towns. That marks the end of my video, but don't forget, hit that like button, make sure that you subscribe, comment down below, tell me what you think on this video, and by the way, see you in the next one.